Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's topic. We are going to talk about artemether-lumefantrine, commonly referred to as AL. It's a drug that is used for the treatment of uncomplicated malaria. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dr. Shamalla. I am a drug specialist. You can continue getting more updates on other health-related issues and especially drug-related information on www.dr-shamalla.co.ke. You can also get me on my mobile number 0720 004 844, or you can also email me at ehealth@dr-shamalla.co.ke. So let's proceed today to our topic, which is the misuse of artemether-lumefantrine. Statistics from the National Malaria Control Unit indicate that more than 25 million Kenyans are at a risk of contracting malaria. And shockingly, more than 35,000 children who are less than 5 years will die of malaria annually. This therefore means that malaria is a disease that needs to be addressed. It's a disease that needs to concern all of us here. But I want to bring your attention to one thing that most of us engage in, either knowingly or unknowingly. The reason why we have had problems in the country or even in Africa at large is because of use of drugs that are used for the treatment of malaria. AL has become an over-the-counter drug that everyone walks into a chemist and purchases this drug without necessarily verifying whether they have the malaria parasite in their body. Now, this has resulted in a condition whereby the drug doesn't treat effectively malaria due to resistance. And so I would want to take this opportunity just to bring to attention the fact that the guidelines require that before you engage in any drug use, and especially if you are not an expert, or if by that extent you've not received any expert guidance, that you should desist from the actions of self-medication. Ladies and gentlemen, you will agree with me that a lot of people are treating themselves of malaria. They are consuming a lot of AL, and AL is one of the drugs that is very effective for the management of malaria. You will agree with me that the moment there is going to be resistance to this drug, then the options are very much limited. And therefore that means even the expense of us treating a condition like malaria, they are going to go high. And so today is just to urge you, or those that are listening to me, that let us stop self-medication. That time when you feel a fever, when you feel you're not unwell, you tend to think that you have malaria because it's the common condition that everyone will think they know about, yet they do not know. I would want you to take care and ensure that before you start swallowing or using antimalarial drugs, especially artemether-lumefantrine, which in this case is being used for treatment of uncomplicated malaria, you have to have verified through a test that is done by an expert to verify whether you have the malarial parasite in your blood. Nowadays, testing of malaria is very simple. It has been simplified with the use of what we call rapid test kits for malaria. So there is a possibility that you can get these kits in some of the pharmacy outlets that are offering laboratory services. I would tend and request and insist that you seek for professional advice before engaging in use of any medication. I want you to think about the generation of today and the generation of tomorrow. The statistics are so worrying when we are losing more than 35,000 children that are under 5 years annually. Tell me how many children we will have lost in 10 years. That is just to say, that child that is below 5 years that is going to die because of malaria could be your child, could be my child. That child could be your relative. You never know, that child could be the leader of tomorrow. And so the decision you make today will make a difference, so that there is going to be little resistance to anti-malarial AL. And that is to say that future generations shall continue to use this drug that is so effective in management of malaria. Scientists have gathered information that clearly states that if anti-malaria, commonly known as AL, artemether-lumefantrine, is used effectively for the treatment of uncomplicated malaria, then that parasite has got no power to develop resistance towards this medication. The only gap or window that is existing for this parasite to develop resistance is by virtue that people are using the medication when they are not necessarily sick. And there are various risk factors. That number one, as much as you are helping to cause resistance of this medication by using it when you don't need it, there are also situations whereby the people who are genuinely sick or suffering from malaria, but since they take this medication and use it within the first or second day and they feel okay and they stop on the way, they don't finish their dose. In fact, now those are the most dangerous people that we should go out there and talk to and remind them to follow doctor's instruction when they're taking medication. Remember, this could be very simple things to do. This could be just be very normal things that we do daily and assume that they don't impact negatively on our system, on our health system, but they do. So next time, before you walk to that pharmaceutical outlet to purchase an antimalarial medication, ensure that you insist on testing, verifying that you are sick from malaria before using that drug. Artemether-lumefantrine is combined therapy. It has got two drugs that are combined together. It has a lot of potency against the malarial parasite. So I want the public and you who is watching this video to be a bit courteous, to really think about that child, to think about our country, to think about Africa, and just to use this medication when it has been prescribed by a qualified and competent medical person, and use the dose as prescribed until it is complete. Why am I so passionate, or why am I appealing to you to ensure that you use this medication correctly? Africa as a continent, we've talked about malaria for very many years. Decades have come, decades have gone, and malaria still remains one of the leading causes of death, not only of our under 5-year children, but of our expectant mothers. It is a disease that if you were to calculate the number of people that have succumbed, that have died, that have lost their economic abilities, the number of children that have lost their parents simply because they could not afford this medication are so many. And you can imagine we have other disease burdens like HIV/AIDS. We've not even talked about tuberculosis, which is also a burden in Africa. We have neglected diseases like Kala-Azar. We have neglected diseases like guinea worm and many others that we as Africa are still struggling with. So the moment you put a combination of these diseases together and place them in Africa, then it is a trend that we as Africans, we as the experts, need to stand up and say something has to be done. So I want to tell you that the decision of you helping Africa move forward starts with you. I want you to walk with me in this journey of helping Africa, helping Kenya walk towards a disease-free nation, a disease-free continent, and to say that yes, we can as Africans. Remember, SDG number 3 talks about the well-being and health of each and every person living on this continent Earth, on this planet Earth. That is to mean that the health of every individual is in their hands. We need as a continent, we need as a country to take this destiny in our hands. I urge you today, before you pick money from your pocket to go and purchase that AL, think twice and ask yourself, are you sick of malaria? And if yes, how have you verified that you are sick from malaria? Have you done a test? Has the test confirmed that yes, you have the parasite in your blood? And if the test confirms no, then you need to say, this is not malaria, you are suffering from some other disease. And so what have you got to do? You have to go and do other tests. It could be typhoid, it could be brucella, it could be any other medical condition that mimics the signs and symptoms of malaria. But I want to urge you, please, before you use AL to treat that condition that you're not sure of, that you just assume is malaria, go and do a test. Get tested. If it comes out to be positive, then you're good to go. Use AL and use it according to the directions of the doctor.